Good morning. This is a special report from Powerful Words with Caleb, Patriot Soapbox. Folks, there's some material that I've come upon that needs to be distributed. And I ask you to download this material as quickly as you can and put it onto another drive that it might not be just deleted or shut down on the YouTube platform. I'm sorry for the video is a bit grainy today. We do appreciate you coming and visiting with us, and I thank you for the opportunity to share this information with you. You are going to find that this is very powerful, very indicative information of frankly, the actions that we've been waiting upon. And so what we've seen immediately is that bear with me. It appears I'm getting texted over and over again. So, okay. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, let's get to this information, of which I believe that you folks will equally agree that this is what we've been waiting upon. This is evidence of the connections and the convergence, as we've discussed this previous week on Powerful Words, of many of these roads and the Q drops and these individuals. It is also proof that they cannot surrender. They cannot surrender, but this war is going to be quickly and summarily finished, and it's going to turn out exactly as Q and POTUS had predicted. So let's get to this material because it's so hot that I really want everyone to have the information so that you can begin to do your own research and frankly pan this information out and spread it as far and wide as possible. Because for those folks who say nothing is occurring, this is evidence to the opposite. I'm going to play this video. I apologize in advance for some foul language that's on the video. I have no control over that. However, this video needs to be played in its entirety. It is effective. It has only been viewed by 10 people so far as I know. And let's get on with it. I apologize for having to interrupt on a regular basis. I do not want to violate YouTube's rules and have us get strikes. And of course, we know that Anonymous's position is that you should fear the government and should protect yourself at all times. So as usual, references to the Matrix, references to Anonymous.
We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Now, what am I supposed to tell the press?
Training exercises, isn't that the usual BS?
It's not that simple. An unfortunate training exercise
are part of the U.S. Army training exercise involving aircraft weapon simulations in urban settings.
Greetings, citizens. The so-called drills in LA were not a training exercise. The training exercise has been...
Now he's referring to the drills in LA. This happened February 6th of 2019. I have the articles to back it up. I have other information. Also, it appears that the training exercises were planned 3 or 4 days prior to that, as they were conducting all-day exercises 4 days prior to this event.
An overused excuse since 9/11. The official story is was bullshit.
Special Operation Forces in full swing over the skies of Los Angeles. Our cameras were there when a Black Hawk helicopter and 4 OH-6s, or Little Birds, flew over the city. Take a look. This is the U.S. Bank building where they hovered for a while before.
Now, this is indicative of we're talking Special Forces. We're talking 160th. We're talking very, very professional and tactical soldiers who performed this.
Flying to their next target.
1 o'clock, very low.
At one point, they made what appeared to be a drop-off at a park. Within seconds of landing, the helicopter was back in the air.
Oh, this is full push.
MSM Local LA Times was also complicit in covering up what we have evidence of being quite otherwise.
Since when does the military drop by unannounced, good point, in the middle of downtown LA, land helicopters in the street while civilians are around, forcibly break and enter into a privately owned building, and then fly away?
Okay, so now we've got military dropping into LA unannounced. We've got them going into a private building, and what you're going to see is that this ties everything together, folks. This is all of it. This brings Nexium. This brings everybody into the same mix. This brings in all of the California players. You can see why now they cannot surrender.
Taking things with them.
So the fact that they're using the most trafficked, one of the most air traffic populated areas in the United States, the fact that they did it, started the drills at night, the fact that people were only made aware 24 to 48 hours prior to this incident, and the fact that they could be doing this in multiple other areas in different situations or in different locales makes me quite suspicious.
And we should be suspicious, but I believe what we should be is rejoicing, because the Lord has sent us anointed warriors who are fighting for this country, and it appears that they really are winning.
Since you won't get a real story, if at all, for another 50 to 100 years, if at all, we thought we'd fill you in. Let's put a non-crowdsourcing power to work. We see little birds, killer eggs, also known to MH6s, in standard operating procedure by the 160th SAW, which is basically the Army's most elite helicopter special ops.
So there's the mention of the 160th, the Army's elite special operations helicopter group.
Black Hawks only need 75 feet by 75 feet to land. Safe landing zone is 100 by 100 for normal operations. A little bird is smaller and incredibly maneuverable in spaces considered tight compared.
I do apologize. There's going to be some foul language here. I have no control over that. I can skip through it, but I believe that it is pertinent to understand everything that these folks are giving us.
To other helicopter airframes. They're extremely fast and very maneuverable, and also completely kitted the fuck out when fully armed with 2 miniguns, 2 rocket pods, 2 Hellfire anti-tank missiles, and 2 Stinger anti-air missiles. When you need to land a team on the smallest possible piece of ground and fuck up anything in your way, you use the killer eggs. And you need your best to fly with urban clearances of 11 inches.
So these are the best of the best, folks. This is a pure premier operation. No joke, this is no training exercise.
160th pilots are the best in the world, full stop.
These are the streets of LA. This is where the operation was being conducted. But you will notice right away from the outset that these soldiers come pouring out of these buildings. They did not land here. They came from somewhere else. And we need to pay attention to that. Now this video is locatable by a citizen took this video, and you'll hear their commentary as well, but this has been captured for anonymous purposes.
There is also a modified UH-60 similar to a Black Hawk.
And you'll notice that they came in with specific planning, specific tasks for each unit that drops in here. Look there, you see them carrying something bright and shiny, something that's about maybe a foot or two long, carrying it between them, and they are in mop gear, full mop gear. Folks, this is downtown LA, one of the most trafficked airspaces in the nation. And this is unannounced visit by special forces of our military. Now, we need to remember that this is compliments of Barack Obama, that Barack Obama changed the writ of posse comitatus to allow military operations in to help local police when they could not contend with something. So this is what he planned, and so it's now being utilized against them.
The release of a special ops group on US soil in one of the largest cities gets the old wheels turning.
Again, see them carrying an elongated device or some type of equipment in full mop gear, folks.
Bringing helos into an undefended, non-alert city is the stupidest way in the world of conducting actual training. With the preface, this is distracting us from the Venezuelan war. Let's get into what actually is a very interesting special op. To fly these helicopters, traffic was stopped by military, which is only
stopped by military. The traffic in LA was stopped by the military, not by the police. It was stopped by the military, and it was only done because the president has declared a national emergency.
Done in a national emergency. The local police were not notified as members carry the symbols of child traffickers. They also wanted no murmur of activities planned, which is SOP for DOJ, seizure for evidence preservation. In fact, the lapped police scanner for the time was jammed and excused as deleted since no record exists.
You hear that? The police scanner was jammed and then summarily deleted.
The Guatemala Cultural Center and the building next to it were hit. All the noise had
The Guatemala Cultural Center was the target.
Focusing on the sky and not buildings, where the operators all came pouring out, but the Black Hawk hovered over the Guatemala Cultural Center. The explosions gained points of entry.
Large helicopters.
So now we have military ops who are breaking into a facility.
Just fly by, and then we heard this like loud, like boom, 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 boom. A couple times. He kind of got a little bit of footage of like what it was. So it looks like military helicopter. So we're gonna go outside and see if we can see anything.
You are the news, right?
If it's raining, you can't. So there's a cop car over there. There's a cop car right there. But I don't see anybody, any military people. But I know it was a military helicopter. It was multiple scared.
Nope, I'm told. And other key areas as shown.
In and out, did what they needed to do and left. But you're going to find that this video presents something that is just eye-opening. The facts that we've been waiting for, the understanding that we've been waiting for, the intrigue, the imagination that we've had has been proven true.
Shell companies owned by Girardi tied into the California false flag fires through PG&E and
Okay, Girardi tied into the PG&E false flag fires. Girardi tied in the PG&E false flag fires.
abducting children through the ironically named Save the Children.
Abducting children through the Save the Children Foundation.
Girardi would likely have dirt on the whole organization on his office server Onksvin picked up in the raid. Being a psychopath and having a complete lack of empathy and amorality are beneficial traits in high levels of business and politics.
So his server would have all the information on this if he were that arrogant to leave it on there.
Such high-value targets explain the near 40 special operators deployed. Along with explosions you would not set off in urban environments, shots were fired causing this car to leak radiator fluid.
So they put out a car, they stopped a car that was coming through there by just completely taking out its engine. Sound like a minigun to me.
The leaking white car at the intersection on the approach side of the LZ. The car is in an odd spot for it was shot up to the point of not running. The surrounding shell companies raided carry also the child trafficking symbol. Supported by political contributions to edge global around trafficking tunnels that feed into the Red Line subway.
Okay, so now we're beginning to see that there are trafficking tunnels that go underneath LA and they lead into the subway. Now we need to pay attention to these networks because this is what we've been imagining is happening.
As it was built to, feeding into a Native American tunnel system seized by the government after the defeat of.
There you go. There is a network of a tunnel system that was seized by the American government sometime in the past after the defeat of what? Geronimo. We've seen Geronimo in the Q posts, correct? Skull and Bones. We now have proof.
Apache hero Geronimo. The Skull and Bones considers the tunnels along with Pirate allowed through a war accord with Andrew Jackson so essential they keep Geronimo's skull to this day. The 160th went to two sides of this underground tunnel network with surface points 27 miles apart.
So here is what we need to understand the efficiency of the 160th. They entered these tunnels from opposite ends. And that's why they were coming out of these buildings, pouring out into the helicopters, because they had navigated through the tunnels the entire distance.
Part, which has actually been under surveillance according to flight paths. So 16 soldiers pour out of building on to killer eggs and get the fuck out. 19 soldiers pour out of same building in 2 spurts, onto 2 different Black Hawks with 3 different HVT objects and get the fuck out. To retrieve 3 HVTs or high-value targets between 50 to 100 pounds. HVT objects 1, 2 and 3 don't look identical, but they do all look to be smaller than a human adult.
So these targets were not human adults. They were smaller objects between 100 and 150 pounds.
And mostly rectilinear in shape, and brightly colored, tri-albedo material that look twice by streetlights on camera at night. We have identified a Gyades server, workstation and a bomb capable of poisoning the water of 20 million people. The car fentanyl making the bomb which could otherwise explode came in via the Long Beach port. The Chinese.
Now we see the Long Beach port mentioned, LA and the Long Beach port and the Standard Hotel. We all are beginning to see all of this converging, all of this information coming out. Geronimo, Skull and Bones, it's all tied together, folks.
counterintelligence controlled this port. The car fentanyl bomb was purchased by a drug cartel to levy for the release of El Chapo. Deep state actors wanted the bomb to be released, then contained and blamed on Venezuela.
So false flag blamed on Venezuela.
Fentanyl is so lethal that 2 men could carry enough to kill everyone in Los Angeles.
They were intending on killing the entire population of Los Angeles.
It doesn't look like they're carrying a body, or because it's too. See that? They're carrying something out of there. And people said it looks like they have hazmat suits on too. I'll try to zoom in a little more. The more you zoom in, the blurrier it gets, but these guys look like they have hazmat suits on for sure.
The explosion there, if no water deploy, would allow Pac-10 partners' plans of an 140-unit condo in Westlake to go up in the rebuild.
So this was the plan, folks. This was what they were intending to bring about that great big disaster that we knew they were planning to try to stop all of this from crashing down around their heads.
This is the second time that white hats working in the Trump administration have foiled deep state false flags. The white hats surveilling the criminal smuggling tipped their hand with special forces, which they would not have done so obviously unless the server they were grabbing has the type of human trafficking information to take down the network. Of course, there was also the bomb, which in order of sequence comes in the last year of nuclear football kickoff. Hawaii.
So now we're seeing it all tied together. We're seeing Hawaii tied together. We're seeing all of this coming together. It is a convergence, folks. This is the timing when these folks are going to fall. They've realized they have lost this war, and now they're extremely desperate. So we need to be very vigilant during this time.
Missile attack. First down, Vegas incident. Shooting to cover up prep work and plant for the CRBN device. This white hat special force insurgence was closely preceded by the foiling of the Vegas plot after a false conclusion of no clue was publicly given by the intelligence community.
U.S. Special Forces descend on Los Angeles after a CIA pilot linked to the Las Vegas massacre was blown out of the sky.
So they blew a CIA pilot out of the sky the day before this.
A mainly redacted, of special importance, highly classified, new Foreign Intelligence Service, SVR, report circulating in the Kremlin today confirming the Ministry of Defense assessment that elite U.S. Special Forces have begun high-profile arrest operations in Los Angeles, California. Notes that this urban combat operation was begun within hours after a known CIA deep cover pilot going by the name of Antonio Pastini was blown out of the sky, whose true name is Jordan Isaacson, and whom SVR intelligence analysts had previously identified as being one of the CIA pilots who flew stolen Israeli weapons and ammunition to Nevada, where they ended up in the possession of CIA arms pilot Stephen Paddock.
So it's all tied together, folks. There's Las Vegas. There's Paddock. There's the CIA is blowing a plane out of the air the day before this event.
Who is reported to have single-handedly carried out the worst massacre in American history on October the 1st, 2017.
Why was this done by assassination? This was followed by the P-8 helicopters and raids. These were taken out of a Wells Fargo helping ATF gun trafficking to Mexico and receiving human trafficking and drugs for black budget ops in return, despite having been...
You heard that. He just said that the gun running to Mexico was to receive trafficking and drug payments in return. No wonder they're getting loud now, because their Fast and Furious was actually selling our guns or giving guns for drug in return for trafficking. No wonder.
Been repeatedly caught in these operations since the 80s. The senior VPs of Wells Fargo LA, who are both connected to Hollywood Dosh, Patrick Drum specifically is the City of LA head of entertainment finance.
Atchik Drum, there's a name for you, and it's inculcating Wells Fargo senior members. I don't know if this has been followed up on, but we need to.
And Spanks make perfect allies in crime, known to also have connecting bank tunnel system. The workstation containing the pedophile connections was taken from Patrick Drum. Trade deals let corporations overrule government, and that holds true for any large capital generating operation.
And they put a thing in the trade agreements, which...
Okay, now we see trade agreements, we see treaties, which surpass the rights of the states. This is what they've been doing to us.
It's called the Dispute Settlement Mechanism. And it actually works this way, that if any government, like a provincial government in Canada or a state government in the United States, does something that affects the profits or potential profits of a foreign company, they can sue the government of Canada for lost profits or even lost potential profits. Can you believe?
You imagine that. They set up a treaty that allows the government of your own country to be served and to lose a tactical battle in court that allows them to recover imaginary profits they've imagined making.
Believe. They have more rights in Canada than Canadian citizens, and of course it works the same way with the United States.
Wells Fargo is clearly what funds the child trafficking in our country, and someone spilled the beans to the wrong alphabet agency member who actually cares. These tunnels are now guarded by white hats, leading to a cascade of recent seizures.
So now we know that the U.S., the white hats are now guarding the tunnel. Now we know why DARPA is coming up with a tunnel AI mechanism that routes tunnels and can seek people out. We know what's going on in California now. We know that it's all tied together, and we know that these power outages and all this stuff is part of the Patriots fighting back.
Border Patrol in Arizona calls this the biggest fentanyl bust ever. Nearly 254 pounds of the deadly synthetic opioid worth an estimated $3.5 million.
These tunnels serve as an additional smoke screen to Black Ops Project tunnels east of the drug, gun and human smuggling tunnels in California.
Much of the physical engineering was transferred to underground facilities in Nevada and Arizona.
So now they've got to seek out the same tunnels in Nevada and Arizona, because now they've switched operations over to where I currently reside.
Meanwhile, much of the control was transferred to civilian agencies in order to create plausible deniability.
On the other side of the tunnels, at Long Beach, are complementary drug and human trafficking by Israel and Chinese counterintelligence support sold to China by Dianne Feinstein and finalized in 2018.
Wow. So now we're tied into the port of ops that's trafficking, and it's all done as organized deals between senators and foreign entities. This is it. When this comes out, these people are no longer going to be able to walk the streets.
The deportation center at this Long Beach port is a key collection point for human trafficking as well. These areas were flanked by Department of Homeland Security the following day. Following actual training in these areas will follow, but this original insurgence is far from a LARP. We are not Jesus, nor do we have Alzheimer's. Expect us.
So Anonymous is saying, look, this is all coming out. We're not doing this for altruistic methods. We're doing this because it needs to be said, and we're going to say it.
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
I hear the end of every enemy of the state.
And then I woke up here.
The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna speak out this link because I want this video to not be deleted prior to us sequestering it somewhere and going over it, you know, with a fine-tooth comb and making sure everything pans out and doing some significant investigation, which I know everyone will do. You know, we've got some really solid investigators out here. This is youtube.com//watch small v as in Victor, =, capital D as in Delta, small r as in Romeo, small t as in Tango, 4, the number 4, J as in Juliet, large capital, 4, the number 4, small r as in Romeo, capital Kilo, K, capital J, Juliet, small Tango, T, and large Q to end off that string. Again, I'm going to say that's Victor = Delta Romeo Tango 4 Juliet 4 Romeo Kilo Juliet Tango Quebec. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with here, folks. And once you watch this video, it all ties together. And I know that there's a significant amount of research yet to be done, but this really points out rather poignantly that the white hats are winning. The good guys are winning. The special forces have now taken ops to the streets of LA. They're now uncovering this trafficking and gun running and intrigue that involves foreign governments and involves our money and involves running through tunnels and using code names like Geronimo and keeping Geronimo's skull, because you now understand that victory and having the tunnels underneath LA represents a large victory to the leadership that went all the way back to Jackson. Well, whose picture is behind POTUS's desk? Jackson, 1820s, folks. We're talking 1820s. When did Skull and Bones start? You're going to be surprised, folks. This all comes together. This all comes together, and it's just, it's being sewn up and very clearly so that that we need to pay attention. We need to be aware. And I'm going to stop this share here. I do have several articles I would like you to take a look at. The military exercises in Los Angeles, California, or raid. If you look at QAnon, LA Standard Hotel owner charged with chemical dumping. There's some pretty interesting things that are tied together in these issues, and you begin to see that all this is tied together. So let's stop that share for a moment, and I really do appreciate your coming here and visiting with me today. I very much want to give a shout out to the Army's best, to that helo team that performed this extraction, performed this military drill without even being recorded and doing the right things for us behind the scenes. You know, what a you deserve my salute. You deserve our you know, our thanks, our gratitude, and thank you for doing what you're doing and going in harm's way to save America. We do greatly appreciate it. Folks, I thank you for your time today. I'll make this short, but this one needs to get out there, and that's why I recorded it, because I don't want to give them the opportunity to wipe out the material before it's been put online. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Wonderful day. Caleb out.